Hi, my name's Pretty from Edwardson Walker Opticians. I wanted to talk to you guys about visual dyslexia today. So visual dyslexia is just where there's a bit of a mismatch between what the eyes can see and how the brain interprets what the child is reading. So this can sort of present in different forms. So when a child that is suffering from visual dyslexia is reading, they may notice that the words move round on the page. There's sort of patches that are missing on the page. There's black and white patches moving across. They may get the letters back to front. They may get the words back to front. So they might say saw and they read it as was. They might get the B's and D's confused. They may sort of have struggle focusing, have struggle in terms of their attention when reading. They might get frustrated easily. A lot of those symptoms can be normal in terms of it could just be a normal learning process of that child reading. However, the sort of moving of letters and the vanishing patches and the jumbling of words can sometimes suggest that there is an issue between that communication between the eye and the brain there. And it normally affects the left hemisphere of the brain in visual dyslexia, and it's thought to have started at quite a young age in the child's development there. So it can be sort of assessed in practice by sort of simple testing to start off with, and usually if a parent or a teacher or a form of childcare provider alongside the parent is suspecting that there may be issues with the child's reading ability or understanding of what they're reading and be able to relay that back, they may suggest a coloured overlay assessment. So what that assessment does is the first stage is that the child is shown different sort of extracts of reading material, and it's usually one that we do in our practice is on the computer, and the software presents different sort of extracts for the child to read, and then what happens is it gauges that child's normal reading speed, so how many words were read per line in how many seconds, etc. etc. And what happens then is the software then presents various filters, coloured overlays onto different reading extracts there, and sometimes the sentence makes sense, sometimes it's just random words just to see how well they can read there. So the child then has to choose whether they prefer one over the other in terms of the coloured overlays or the filters. And the test can last anything between 10 to 25 minutes depending on each child's ability and each child's reading speed. At the end of the test, the computer calculates and takes into account statistics and significance and things like that, and calculates basically what was their reading speed before they did the overlay testing, and then what was their reading speed after they did the overlay testing, and was there a certain overlay that made that speed possible. So it will look at sort of false positives and false negatives and things like that, which means that are they just sort of reading it and no difference, and then what filter you put on it makes no difference, or every filter that you showed them, every overlay you showed them did make a difference, which would suggest that it's not an accurate test, or that the child wasn't accurate in what they're doing. So everything is sort of checked, double checked, then triple checked via the software, and if there is a significant increase in reading speed, then the software will suggest what overlay sort of helped towards that. And the next stage would be the child can and the parent can purchase that overlay to use at school to sort of see if does it help with their reading, does it help when they're sort of in the classroom concentrating, looking at the board and things like that. And usually from our previous experience for the children that the reading speeds and letters do increase significantly for, once we introduce that overlay, their developmental sort of changes in terms of reading and things like that are phenomenal, and it sort of just takes sort of a whole load off them, because prior to that they're really struggling, and that simple overlay can really change the way that they read and how they develop. And if then they really sort of get on well with the overlay, you do have the option of putting the same sort of tint into a pair of spectacles. However, we need to be sort of aware that the overlay assessment and the need for overlays doesn't always mean that there's something wrong with their vision, because their vision could be absolutely perfect, and with the visual dyslexia, it's actually the processing of the images. So it's not that they can't see it, they can see it, but then when it's going from eye to brain, there's a little bit of a mismatch there, and they're not seeing it correctly. So I just want to be clear in that respect, that it's not that they can't see, it's just the processing that is affected. So that, like I say, that assessment, the visual dyslexia assessment, is quite something that's quite simple to be carried out, as long as the child can read sort of, you know, three-worded, so three-letter words. And that test at Edwards and Walker Opticians costs £45, and the overlay is then £10 to try the overlay there. So it is worth considering if you are sort of suspecting, or you feel that your child isn't performing in terms of reading, and you've had other tests done and things like that, and they haven't been they've been told that the vision's okay. This might be another avenue to explore, and can change their reading ability dramatically. Thank you for listening.